Hello! Happy Tuesday! I'm going to set that up there. Oh, I should have got my tripod out. So this comes from two people inside Kitchen Saucery, which is going off. We're in week 2. Week 2 is all about making something. Make anything. It doesn't matter what you make, just make something, and from there the next thing will flow, and the next thing will flow, and the next thing will flow, and this is how you build confidence. And it's all about making something and then critiquing it. And so the comments from two people inside Kitchen Saucery were, my lentils are bland, what do I do? One had an idea. So first of all, what are you talking about? I'm talking about cooking lentils from scratch. This is a beautiful process to get in the habit of, because lentils are a basic, they're a base, kind of like other things in our cupboards like rice, buckwheat, couscous, freekeh, basmati rice, all those types of things. What else? Chickpeas, pasta, noodles, I could go on. These are all considered a base. And the way I teach people to cook is to separate your meals into layers. So you've got your base, then you have your veggies, and then you have the next thing and the next thing and the next thing that I can't think of right now. That's not the point of the video, and I don't want this to be long. I will put a link to that because it's on my website somewhere for you to read. So a base to start somewhere is to make a pot of lentils, and they take about 20 minutes to make. You have an option of soaking them, you have an option of sprouting them, but this was just to get people in the habit of making something. And I have some tinned lentils in here. I found them the other day. And these actually, we didn't buy them, but it's funny, they end up. So we do still use tinned things within this household. We're not completely kitchen pure of using a tin, but what I love about cooking your own lentils is all of a sudden you realize that this fear that you had with cooking anything dried, so chickpeas, beans, lentils, all that type of stuff, it poof, goes out the window along with your theory that you have no time, because all you do is put a cup in a pot, bring it to a boil, and walk away, and it cooks for you. You don't even need to be in the room. How much easier can you get? And of course you can buy a tin of lentils. I'm not telling you not to, but there are many benefits to buying making your own lentils from scratch. Along the lines of, you're in charge of what goes in them. You can flavor them any way you like. You're in charge of the ingredients in there. So tinned lentils often have lots of sodium. They often have some other weird stuff in there depending where you get them from. And there's obviously the environmental factor. So you have tins galore, and if you're veggie or vegan or eat a lot of tinned products, then you have tins upon tins upon tins every week of waste, which could be completely gone if you went to the bulk food store, or just one packet depending where you buy them. It could be a cardboard paper packet or something like that. So they're just options for you. So step number 1 in my lentils taste bland would be, you have a few options to cook your lentils in to begin with. You could cook them in stock, chicken stock, veggie stock, something like that. You could cook them, that could be like liquid that you have. You could use some stock powder if you had something like this. That's backwards, but it's just a veggie stock powder, so you could sprinkle in a teaspoon of that. You could chop up an onion and add that into your lentils so they cook, and you have onion infusing throughout, even garlic. You could add herbs, you could add spices. So that's all in the cooking phase of said lentils. But what about when you have made a big batch and you've tasted them, you've put them on your meal, and you have a beautiful dressing, which we have because we made a delicious kind of dairy-free pesto dressing on Sunday, and you have beautiful spice roasted sweet potatoes, because that's also what we made on Sunday, and you have amazing punchy but sweet, and how the hell did this even happen, pickled onions going on, because that's also what we made on Sunday, and then you dig deep and you eat your lentils and they're bland, and you think, Jesus, with all this flavour, what's going on? So option number 1 would be to add more dressing. And now I want to take you through the rest of the options. So I'm going to put you down. Here is my glass bowl. An option would be, I need a cup. 2, flavourfy them with some sauteed onions. So I've just had these cooking while I've been talking to you. That was about half an onion cooked in some ghee. And I also put in there from the garden some thyme leaves, which optional, you don't need to do that, or you could do that. So that's just sauteed onions. That would be option number 1. Actually, I've also put in there about a teaspoon, a bit more of cumin. So that was just in the last minute while this was cooking. So it's gone a bit, you can see the cumin's kind of sticking to the pan. So that means we have in there sweet onion flavour, a bit of fat from the ghee, we have a bit of salt, and we also have thyme, so a bit of herby spice, and also spicy spice in the form of cumin. So that's one option. That would be amazing. Option number 2, because we need to remember these bases that we use, that I refer to, they're often a vehicle for your flavour. So they're really just a bit bland to begin with. And that's not their fault. We can't, get angry at them for that. We just need to know what to do. So option 1 would be a bit of oil. Actually, I should put the onions through first. So I have thyme bits in there. That's a lot of onions for that much lentils. So option 1 was onions. But if you're just sitting down for a meal, you don't have, you might not have 10 minutes to whip up some onions to go with it. Option number 2 is just some oil. So if you sign up to my free ebook, Get Your Shit Together, I talk about this a lot. That your flavour is really only a lug of olive oil away, a pinch of salt, a bit of pepper, and maybe even a squeeze of lemon, which would be step number 2. So oil is just going to bind everything together, and also separate it, so the lentil individual bits will kind of spread out. The oil will get between them and coat them all. That already looks a bit more delicious. Our next option would be some lemon. I don't have any lemon. Lemon could also be lime, it could be orange, it could be chopped up mandarin segments, it could be, we have more citrus than that, I can't think of it. It could also be in the form of, we just need some acid, so we could use some vinegar. So this is balsamic vinegar, and I also have apple cider vinegar. So we could do, let's say, like not a tablespoon. I normally just do this by looking at it. So we have our oil. I did about a tablespoon or so of oil, so now we have a tablespoon or so of apple cider vinegar. So that's gone in there. So that could be lemon, it could be lime, it could be orange, it could be chopped up mandarin bits, it could be some grapefruit or vinegar. Okay, vinegar will add a nice little bit of pop. So now we already have more flavour. We haven't tried it yet, but we know we have more flavour. Next things would be, what about some herbs? So if you just had a little bit of mint going on, could add that in. This is mint from the garden. The mint loved the rain on the weekend. So we could leave these in big bits, or what I like to do at this point is look at what's going on in there. So we have tiny little lentils here. They're tiny. So maybe we were going to chop this quite, I always say finely, but is that a word? I don't know if that's the proper use of the word, but I'm going to chop this finely. This is called like a chiffonade type of thing if you want to get all technical. So we'll put this in. Okay, so now we have herbs already. So you already know that mint's going to do a magical thing in there. It's going to be bright and poppy and a little bit minty, but without being like a mouthful of toothpaste. And now, other ones, I have parsley from the garden. The parsley plant is pretty sad. It didn't do much, hasn't done much in a while actually. So we have this cute little posy of parsley. So we're going to put that in. If you had beautiful flat leaf parsley, that would go really well. And I do the stems too. So normally what I do is rip off the stems, so they're all together, and then just slice it up. So this is really just flavour upon flavour upon flavour, but there is absolutely no reason why you can't do this. So we had sautéed onions, we also have cumin, we have thyme in there from the garden, then we had olive oil, then we had apple cider vinegar. Next thing we have is parsley, mint, and then we had parsley. And then we haven't even gotten to the simple thing, salt. This salt shaker is pretty terrible. There's like chunks of salt in there, and pepper. So if we mix that all up, oh my gosh. Okay, this is now a flavor bomb. This could almost be dinner as it is. And you don't need to add onions and thyme and mint and parsley. You could choose one or two, and cumin. You could just add one or two. Maybe you have just a bunch of parsley in the fridge. Maybe you have some basil to use. That would go well. And then the next and last flavor tip I had for you, actually I have two more. This one is, what about some currants? That's backwards. So we could take a tablespoon or two of these. I'm just making my lunch for tomorrow. How easy is this? We could put them in. So that's already a bit of fruity sweet flavor. That'll work well with our vinegar that we put in there. It will also play with the mint a little bit. So that'll be beautiful. Or we could go for something a little bit more chunky. Raisins. But I'm a fan of currants at the moment. And then the last flavor tip. Oh, you could also add, let's think about, we're kind of coming into autumn, so right now you could use whatever stone fruit is left, peaches, apricots, nectarine, any of those will add sweetness, and you could chop them up into little cubes, kind of like a dice, so they are about the same size of your lentils, and that will be beautiful. Coming into winter or autumn, you could use apples or pears or something like that. That would be beautiful to layer through. Or toasted nuts. I toasted these up on the weekend because I'm going to make peanut butter, which is easy. It's just toasted peanuts blended in a food processor. So what about if we had crushed peanuts? You could do lots of these. Crushed peanuts all through it. You could also do sesame seeds, toasted almonds, toasted sunflower seeds, toasted coconut. These are all things that are available to you. Especially the sesame seeds and the coconut will be the quickest. So if you're about to serve this lentil meal that has amazing elements, but you feel like the lentils are lacking a little bit because they're a base and they need flavor added to them to work, you could think, well, I know what's the quickest. Pan, sesame seeds will take about 5 to 7 minutes depending how many you're making, but I'm going to assume you're doing, let's say, 1/4 of a cup or so, which you can do in a pan this size. Could probably do up to a cup in there. Or the other option is coconut flakes, which will take 5 minutes. They're probably even quicker than sesame seeds. So they're your two options. Or you've got, as I was just saying, cashews, almonds, all I can see is seeds. Cashews, almonds. There's got to be more in there, right? I can't see any more. Anyway, any of that top shelf would work really well. Not the chia. So they're just some simple flavor tips from me about how to make your lentils taste so much more amazing. Whether you're using a tinned or whether you're going to experiment with making a pot all by yourself, maybe later in the week. I have a guide on my website for cooking chickpeas and beans, which actually that's in the free ebook, which is about to become a free cooking class. Get your shit together, so you can go there to get that recipe. And lentils is just the same but a little bit less. I think I might have it on my website. Anyway, I'll put a guide together and it will go up on my website soon. So this is the end of my little rant. I don't even know if these are plugged in. I realized that about halfway through, so we'll just need to see how this sound is. Anyway, have a wonderful night. Lentils done. See you later.